Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another Optc video, and in today's video, we're taking a look at the 10-star Kizuna clash against BARTO and Cavendish, and breaking down my Marco teams to take down this particular event. Now, this is the off month, the Kizuna that comes after the Super Boss, so most people, and by most people, like all people, should be trying to save as many potions as possible for the big ranking events that are Super Boss Kizuna. But obviously, this is a co-op Kizuna event. Gather your teammates together and start doing the suicide strat if you guys haven't done so already to get as many assists as possible. Now, for myself, this is the time where I like to do as many assists, save my potions, and use Marco teams to farm up XP. But I do know a lot of people don't love Marco teams, so go head over to the Discord, hit up the Kizuna tab. There's a bunch of teams there. I'll put out another video with some one team versus alls and showcasing some of those teams from the Discord as well for you guys. But in today's video, like I said, we're going to be breaking down Marco. And if they help you out, demolish the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and let me know in the comment section what teams you guys will be running for this Kizuna. Now, ideally, like I said, you want to dive in with as many boosters as you have if you did any summons. If not, find a treble friend captain, dive into the quest, quit, and say, yes, I would like my friends to assist me. But the first variation is the Psy variation. Against BARTO, Cav, Strikers, and Drivens get their cooldowns. On Battle 2, your top left, bottom left, middle right gets 5 turns of bind after sockets. Then on the boss stage, there's full immunity, 5 turns of paralysis, 5 turns of damage reduction, and after level 30, it becomes 6 turns of paralysis and damage reduction, as well as only allowing you to use 2 specials. Very, very annoying. So, we are running double Marco over here, like I said, to build up our XP gains. It works very, very nicely. Now, Marco doesn't get cooldowns on this fight at all. The only character that does is Sasuke, and Sasuke's here purely just to give us cooldowns. Like, that's literally the only reason he's here. Plus, he's because he's driven, he does get those cooldowns, which is going to help us out quite a bit. The idea is we want to get Carrot Special ready to go, so that way we can go through the damage reduction on the final stage. But we want to pop her on stage 2 because you can only use 2 specials on the final stage. And the idea here is to use the Straw Hat Crew. Straw Hat Crew on the final stage will give you an attack boost, an orb boost, color affinity, chain boost, basically everything that we need while still getting around that 2 special limit. So with the cooldowns for this team, we have a lot going on. Sasuke's giving 2 turns of cooldowns. Marco's giving 1 turn at the start of the quest. He gets 1 with his super class, 1 with his auto proc. However, you're only going to get 1 of the auto procs, as one of your Marcos will get binded. So just be mindful of that. And if you have your other Marco sort of, if you use double Marco on the final stage, you're getting an attack boost, which you'd rather have that chain boost because it's just much higher than what the Straw Hat Crew can provide. So ideally, you want to pop one of the Marco's super classes on stage 1, and then you have the auto trigger on stage 2, and then you get a whole bunch of cooldowns here. And ideally, we want to be removing the paralysis with Rayleigh as well as the bind with Rayleigh. So, actually, I think that needs to go like that. So, yeah, like that. So with Rayleigh, we can get around the bind. Mihawk's giving him 2 more turns of cooldown for the final stage, and then Carrot can get through those defensive effects. So that should work fairly well. These teams obviously are subject to change. I will do a playthrough video on them as well, so hopefully this works. But that 2 special limit is very, very annoying. Taking a look at the next fight now, we come up against the Int variation, and this is where Marco is boosted, so it helps out a lot because Psy and Int get cooldowns. On stage 2, there's a damage reduction over a certain amount, so threshold for 5 turns. And on the final stage, there's full immunity. You take 80% damage. You get a full board of unfavorable slots and 5 turns of special bind, as well as an attack down if you're below a 3.0 chain multiplier for 5 turns. Once you defeat BARTO Cavendish, they do 35,000 damage, so that's a lot of damage after taking an 80% HP cut. Be mindful of that. And after level 30, your special bind goes up to 6 turns. They put up 6 turns of defense up, and you get increased damage taken by 2 times for 3 turns. So that, like, 3,500, it becomes 70,000. So it's a lot of damage. That 35,000 becomes 70,000. It's a lot of damage. So going back to the Marco teams, this is what we're rocking here now. The team seems quite interesting because we are using Luffy on turn 1, so we can get the carryover of the orbs and then the 2.75 on the final stage, as well as the chain multiplier buff. And then because Marco is boosted here, Marco gets his cooldown. So we want to use the Marco auto trigger on turn 2, and then use the Marco special on turn 3. That's why we have the A support to get around damage reduction, defense up. And then we have Brooke and the kid Sabo as well. That's our 6 turns. Jinbei, when you get to max HP, back to max HP with the chopper special, you'll get the chain boundary to be above the 3.0 chain boundary, which is super nice. You get a chain boost with Marco, and we get Zoro here to remove the threshold, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Zoro removes threshold, yeah. So if you don't have Zoro, just replace him with anyone that removes threshold. And with the animal support, we get color affinity as well. So that was the big upside to using Zoro over anyone else that can remove threshold that's a Psy unit. But if you bring like any character like that can remove threshold here, that's even if they're int, or as long as they're a fighter, that should be fine. I imagine it will be fine. Let's just take a quick look here at our options. You got Rayleigh. You could definitely rock this Rayleigh. Honestly, this Rayleigh's probably better, in my opinion. He does 5 turns of threshold. But we're using the threshold on turn 2, so yeah, that's why the annual support was actually really, really good. But basically, if you replace Zoro with anyone that can remove threshold, like, that'll work. You just miss out on color affinity on the final stage, which is a bit of a bummer, but look, it is what it is. Worst things have happened. On to the final variation now, the strength fight. We get Driven and Cerebrals get cooldowns, 5 turns of attack down on turn 2. And then on the final stage, there's 99 turns of immunity, block wolves, defense up for 5 turns, 1 turn of special reverse, and a lock special until you do a 1 good tap. So you basically have to give yourself cooldowns. The boss behavior changes to level 30, giving an extra turn of special reverse, 9 turns of despair, so 6 after sockets, and then you get 1 turn of shipbind. They made shipbind a thing. I know, like, we never thought we'd see the day, but the team looks a little bit like this, and this team is pretty pay to play heavy. It uses a lot of Kizuna rare recruits or treasure map rare recruits in Hack and the film Red Big Mom Pirates in Katakuri and Oven, but they basically all work so well because Oven's our color affinity booster. He can remove despair. Katakuri is good for stage 2, giving us an attack boost, and then give you the clock buff to move into stage 3, which works super nicely. Oh wait, did he give the clock buff or did he give the perfect buff? Yeah, he gives the clock buff to give the 2.25, which is fine because we're going to use Marco's auto trigger on the final stage. Actually, no, we can't use Marco's auto trigger on the final stage because he gives because we get despaired. Interesting. Hopefully we have the cooldowns. We should have the cooldowns. Looking at this team now, actually, I don't have an orb booster for the final stage because Marco, if I use Marco's auto triggers, then I'm not actually going to have the carryover for Katakuri, which does seem to be a little bit of a problem. So this team might need to be tweaked a little bit because we won't actually have an orb boost for the final stage. But I guess we could probably just replace Jinbei with anyone that could just be an orb booster for us. We will just lose the chain boundary effect that Jinbei provides. Jinbei also has shipbind, so that's kind of annoying that we lose that. But I feel like having an orb booster is going to be... It's going to be a lot more beneficial. We could definitely use Luffy. We could definitely use this Sengoku. He has shipbind as well. I know the Luffy doesn't have shipbind. I'll just sort of spitball on there. Not a lot of characters that have shipbind removal, so we might just have to go with this Sengoku here. We just might have to, you know. So, look, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? So, this should work an absolute treat. Unfortunately, we will take Jinbei off, which makes it a little bit less, like, pay to win, I guess. But, it definitely still is, still pretty pay to play heavy. So, they're the Marco teams, guys. Hopefully it helps you guys out if you want to farm XP like myself. If you're a lazy bastard and you don't like doing the Hime total quests, which you guys should be doing because, like, XP is a thing. But for myself, this is the best way for me to farm EXP. But let me know in the comment section below how you guys like to do it. While you're down there, don't forget to belt the like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit the big red subscribe button. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.